Okay, everybody. Hi, it's Tori Hartman, and today I'm going to talk about, gosh, the spread that's about removing blocks. And I'm kind of in my Tori Hartman t-shirt, it's my old t-shirt. And what I want to talk about is, I love this because one of the things Sam did is he wrote down, he does social media at Watkins, and he wrote down the impossible spread, you know, and I love that because it's like going from impossible to possible. And I think it's recently Wayne Dyer said something like, I'm possible, you know, for impossible. And one of the things I want to say is that when I was little, I used to walk around going, that's impossible. You know, I like stomp my feet. I go, that's impossible. And to this day, I always have that when someone says impossible, I always go, well, it's impossibility. So what I want to say about that is, you know, you've heard me talk at various times about blocks, and, you know, people will call me because I'll have clients who'll say, I'm really having writer's block, and I'll say, wait, if you're having writer's block, it means it's not ready yet, you know, because really energetically, it really is kind of a stopgap of like, it's just not ready to be born. You know, I'll tell you, I'll share this with you because a long time ago I was working with a writer named Carrie Bickley, and she and I wrote a bunch of scripts together, and this 100 years ago. And at the time we were working on this thing, and this was before computers and everything was, you know, typewriter and, you know, carbon, and we were both very young. And one night she said, you know what, I'm going to take the script home and read it tonight. And I said, okay. And she took it home, and of course Murphy's Law, right? So the script gets stolen. She went out to dinner, her bag got stolen that night, and she came in the next day completely ashen, and she said, oh my gosh, it's gone, all that work. And what I learned from that, and I remember sitting there saying, well, we'll just write it better. And what I want to say is that when something's not ready, and by the way, I want you to know that the script we wrote after that got taken away was 20 times better than the one that we'd had originally. So sometimes when things feel impossible, or that something feels lost, or you just don't know what to do, remember that that's the moment when you are in possibility with spirit. And when we look at how our chakra align with us and how they're fluid and move with us, you know, this is part of the evolution of chakra. When I talk about chakra evolution, that's part of the work with these cards. And when I say work, it's not really work. It's kind of a way of tapping into your intuition, because the cards will speak to that part of you that says, am I in possible here? Am I being in possibility? So what I want to say to you is, what you would perceive as a block, and this is one of the most popular spreads. I have to tell you, whenever I'm teaching in class, I say, okay, do you want to do wealth or love or career? Can we do blocks? I'm like, okay, let's do blocks. But what's interesting about that is that what you begin to see is where you create your own stopgaps. What do I mean by that? Well, we all have a moment when we're starting out on something. We're really excited. You know, you're starting on the journey, and you'll always get stopped at the same point, no matter what you do. You know, I've always found when I work with writers or artists, they will always get stopped just when they book the big job or right before the big job. There's always something that stops them. So the conversation that we want to have here with this particular spread, and again, my little notes, I got my notes, it describes your perception of the problem in that the first card. So what you want to look at is, what is the problem? And you know what? I know it's not spiritual to say problem, but you know what? If you're perceiving it that way, let's just say what it is, you know, instead of going, well, it's my evolutionary issue. No, it's a problem, okay? It's how you're seeing it in the moment. So it's a problem. So what is the problem? How do you perceive it? Is it a third chakra issue of not being a good planner? Or is it fourth chakra? Your heart's really not into it. Which chakra is it going to hit? And by the way, in the chapter on chakras, I really cover with the cards what each chakra is telling you. Like, in other words, you can look at the red and go, oh, that's about starting over or foundation. So that's in the book. What I also want to tell you, and I'm cheating here, so I'm looking at this. The second card is going to help you look at what would create breakthrough. And I want to remind you of something. In between that first card of the problem and the second card of breakthrough is the breakdown. right? Because somewhere in there you have to admit and experience that you're seeing something as a problem, and you have to experience that emotion to get to what the breakthrough is going to be for you. And most people will stop somewhere in there because they're afraid of that feeling. And what the cards tell you is how to do it so that you just keep going. You know, I said, oh, okay, well, I know that that's going to be the next step for me. So then the third card is what's blocking you. This is my favorite one because it's always the card that everybody goes, ooh, there's my block. And it's like, oh, that's just a thought. Or that's just an emotional moment. Or, you know, some people say, I'm having a bad week. I go, well, maybe you're just having a bad moment, you know? So let's look at what that third card is. And that becomes a very important place because that third card of what the block is, your block, it's going to tell you where in your body you hold your block. Which chakra is your block? Is it 6th chakra, that's family issues? That maybe you're holding a family member responsible for your life? And don't take that the wrong way. There's nothing wrong with that because I did it for years. You have to understand we all progress in our own way, our own pace, our own time. And so it's really just about observing that, right? So it's very important that you observe what that third chakra is, the third card, excuse me. And then finally, the in this, sorry, I'm looking at all this, okay, what it is you need to do to create your desire. And sometimes it's really odd, you know, sometimes I've had this happen because sometimes I'll put 2 decks together. And one time I was doing a reading for someone and I had the 3rd chakra, which was the block, right? And the 4th chakra card, it was the same card. I pulled 2 of the same card, but it was both, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was Trickery, Kelly the Green Dragon, for the block and the 4th card of what they needed to do. And you see that card, it's your heart. And we manipulate when we're afraid of asking for what we really want. So what it was they were playing the game with themselves of not really admitting what they really wanted. Once we got to that and they went, yeah, you know what, I really don't want that, we were able to then get to what they really did want. And that in itself was the block, that they weren't admitting in their heart what was important to them. So it's very important to look at that 3rd card for which chakra is bringing up that block. So next time we'll talk about something else, and I'm not sure what it'll be, but I'll see you then. Thanks.